Well, it's all right. What kind of trailer did you get?
This little tag on pull behind with an axle. It's got the tilt on there now. The floor was rotten on it. I thought the frame was good, just the floors. Put a new floor in there, and then I got a guy who's gonna do some welding on it, put some metal around it, like a headache
Good
rack.
morning.
And then I got a toolbox put on the front.
Good morning. How are you, Dwayne?
Lights on
Good.
there.
How about y'all?
Okay. Can you hear me? I've been having some microphone problems.
Got it loaded up.
I can barely hear you.
Barely hear me still.
Tom, I can hear you fine. So
You can hear me fine now.
I can hear you fine. Just see if Dwayne
And I've
can
got
turn
the
his
volume all the way up.
All right.
Mr. Farthington, is this Keith? Did you get my email response about the article you tried to send me?
What's that try to work?
I don't recall trying to send you an article, Keith.
It was on. It was on about.
It's
It was about on. It was on the TV station or something. I thought it came from you. Maybe Mr. Ayers sent it to me.
It wasn't me.
headache rack on there and lights. And,
Okay.
Might have been John.
On hemp production.
Bought 2x10s.
No, that wasn't me.
Oh, okay.
Lights,
I guess.
about 1,500 in there.
Well, anyway,
I've been
thing there.
looking.
Did you have my lab report, right? Because Blackboard wasn't up when I sent to you. Okay, want to make sure.
Could've gotten one cheaper.
Yeah, I think I got it.
But nice floor.
I've got it.
Okay, thank you.
Today.
We haul hay on
So
there.
who sent me the article?
I'm pretty sure
That
it
was
came
wrong.
in the other day. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks, sir.
I'm pretty sure I have it. That was a different one.
What? Farthing. Okay. Farthing. Okay. I don't know. Farthing. I'm sorry.
I should have it.
South Boston and Keysville. Did y'all connect again?
Yeah.
Cool. Welcome. Hi, Nina.
Hi.
Keysville, are you there? Oh, of course not.
We'll give it a few more minutes and then we'll.
They didn't
help
connect
if I
until
can.
about halfway through the first class, Tom.
Yes, I was watching and texting back and forth with them. But apparently they figured they actually dialed in. Or Dwayne, did your people connect Keysville the same time they connected you?
Yeah, when I got over here, we were connected.
Oh, okay. Okay then.
My students didn't show up for the first class, so you probably didn't have any response in here.
That would have been it.
They're being lazy.
No respect.
What's that?
I said no respect. That's okay.
No respect.
Yep. But fair enough. So
All right.
Dwayne,
Kicksville
go
still
ahead.
connected. Can you run across the hall, see if Joe's there? Just look through the door and see if his door is open. No. All right.
Which they had one of our IT guys there for the last class, texting them to see if they're doing the same stunt again this time.
Let me come here.
Class this week. Are we gonna have class this week?
You talking about Melanie's?
Yeah.
She won't be. She's depending on y'all to sort of do your stuff
Okay.
for those discs and so forth.
Okay.
What is she putting me in? I don't have a disc or anything.
I know she's working on yours to try to get it together. Don't just give her a few. I talked to her about it last week, and she's trying to put something together for you. Don't worry, we'll cover yours. We'll get you some stuff.
And that's for the landscape. Yeah, we have that one too.
Yeah, I know you do. And she's been. When I called her last week to talk to her, she was in a conference in Roanoke, And the fall gets really busy for her, and that's why it's created this crisis.
Okay.
Tech has kind of gotten pretty tight on her about what she's doing. So we'll get you covered. You didn't want to take any of those critters home with you Saturday, did you? Did you take any?
I'm gonna end up taking some. Me and Mom got into a fight about it the other day. I was like, I'm gonna end up bringing some home. And she like the dog. Well, we have a whole lot of dogs, but my dog, she brought home from the CCA one day. She didn't tell anybody about it. She just brought it home. And then stepdad, he just brought home a little beagle one day. Like, well, y'all do it.
The keys will get connected.
We'll talk about that.
Not yet. I
don't.
Not yet. I don't
I
think.
can't find anybody. I got people making phone calls trying to run down their IT people. So they'll get them connected as soon as they can.
Keysville just connected.
All right, good deal. All right. I hope everybody had a good weekend. And for all the Virginia Tech fans in here, my sympathies with you. I got frustrated and went to bed and didn't watch the game all the way through.
Like an idiot, I was there.
Really?
The first, yes. So a friend of mine ended up realizing they had more tickets than they thought they did, believe it or not. And so it was a last minute thing, and it was fun until the end of the first quarter, but oh well.
Yeah.
But I did get to talk to some agriculture
too far
students.
from where I'm at then, Tom. I only live about an hour from the track. About an hour and 10 minutes.
I should have come and crashed on your couch for a while. I didn't get home till 4:30 in the morning.
They just joined up. So thank you. I didn't even try to get tickets. They were expensive for me.
Oh yeah, I wasn't gonna. The only way I went is because it was free.
Yeah, if I'm gonna watch, I'm not gonna pay that kind of money when I watch it on the television.
Most of the people that were there were watching it on the big screen because the seats were not good anywhere. I mean, it's one thing to be sitting in those stands, to be looking at a 18-foot long car. It's something else to be looking at a skinny 6-foot dude out there in the middle of the infield. It was not good seats for anybody. I'm not gonna pay that much money to sit on an uncomfortable stand and watch it on TV. So I'm never going back.
That's a long time.
You're part of history.
Yes, I am.
The Guinness's Book of World Records.
Yep. For beer sales at a football game, they set that record too. Anyway.
All right. Well, unfortunately, our Tech didn't come out on top, but that's okay. I've always rooted for Tech, and I've rooted for Tennessee, and I like to see both schools do well. I was just hoping Tech would come out ahead this year. But my other alma mater won, Nebraska, so I was pretty happy about them winning. So, anyway, all right. Thursday, we were talking about global animal production, and we talked about beef and milk on a global scale, and we started talking about pork, and then we started looking at some pictures of hog houses and how they're raised now. There is a global increase in pork production, in all production systems, from a pastoral, being on pasture, to intensive production of pork in the houses, total confinement. And what you used to see a lot in the Midwest, you don't see it much now, but where the pork industry in the United States is very integrated. So you have companies like Tyson and Murphy Brown. They own the pigs, and they own the feed, and they pay farmers to raise them. The farmers have to build the houses, and the farmers will finish them, or they'll breed them and farrow, farrow is the process of giving birth in pigs, and it's called a farrowing operation. And then the company picks them up at weaning time, or they give them, or the farmers will take the pigs when they're about 50 pounds, and they'll feed them until they're ready to be slaughtered. And then there's a group in there, another set of producers, that will take them from weaning time until they're big enough to go to the finishing houses when they're about 50 pounds. So they do a lot of contracting with farmers for that, and so the farmers provide the housing and the labor, and the company provides the pigs and the feed and the medicines. But before it went to that type of production, you would see a lot of grain farmers in the Midwest with hog operations. So if grain was cheap, they'd buy hogs and feed hogs grain, or cattle grain, and finish them out. And if grain was expensive, they would just sell their grain and not worry about the animals. And that's considered a mixed crop system, having cattle and grain, or pigs and grain. Being diversified, they call it now. So, but in the pork industry, we're seeing an increase of pork production. Some countries, Europe is pretty well stagnated. They're worried about environmental concerns. Virginia, you got a moratorium on building additional hog houses. They're concerned about environmental concerns with the lagoons, should they leak. And people just don't like the smell of pigs. They think it's disgusting. So, for whatever reasons, some places, some countries are kind of stagnant on their production. Some states don't allow additional houses to be built. But it is a major meat, and it is growing in global production. And as we mentioned earlier, pigs, they're scavengers. Traditionally, they were scavengers. You'd see them on farmsteads and in villages. And they do have litters instead of just one. So the trend, as we said, the trend's going to these big hog houses in total confinement situations. And, we see a large increase in the United States and Brazil and China and Southeast Asia, where we're seeing a lot of the increases in pork production. Traditionally, or in developing countries, we see a lot of poultry and pork production near big cities, and the reason is you have easy market access. Transportation costs are lower. And, you know, these traditional countries just do not have the infrastructure like we have in the United States. So they have these big, you know, the pork operations and poultry near the cities just because of lack of infrastructure and it's close to the population. But, you know, the adverse effects of it could be potential pollutants with the lagoons and the wastes from the poultry. And of course the smell people don't like. So that's, you know, I don't know how that's changing now with these underdeveloped countries. I think they're still there because of lack of infrastructure and ease of getting it to the large populations. The poultry and egg production, it's increasing. You know, the thing we mentioned with eggs or with chickens, you know, you can get a good product, a high protein product, and not have to kill the animal, right? One of the benefits of dairy animals and poultry, you know, hens lay eggs. Eggs are nutritious and high in protein. We are seeing increases in chicken production in China and Brazil, Vietnam, and India. They're increasing their poultry and egg production big time. Vietnam's increased their production over 100%. India's over 200%. And the United States, we're seeing some growth, but nothing like the growth in these other countries. Because the chicken industry is very efficient with the broilers and also with the layers, it's a fairly cheap quality meat. It's fairly cheap meat, right? Y'all agree? How many of you guys, you know, we're all, you know, we're college students here. We're on limited budgets. Do you buy a lot more chicken? You buy more chicken than you do steak? Hey, I ate a lot of ramen noodles when I was in college. So what do you guys buy? What kind of meat do you guys buy being college students? Y'all alive?
I think my specialty was tube steaks.
Tube steaks. Okay. And that's not, you know, that's not a high quality meat. But it is good. You know, but it is, you know, it's a pretty tough cut of meat. But it, you know, when prepared correctly, it's good.
You missed a letter in what he was he said TUB, not CUBE.
Oh, okay. My bad. I ain't talking about you know, poultry is a lot cheaper than beef. It is a very efficient meat to produce. We can take chicks, and in 6 to 8 weeks, they're going to be slaughtered. They grow pretty quick. They're pretty efficient with grain. And there's a lot of consumer preference for poultry for health benefits because of the lower fat content. So, as I said, in the worldwide, chicken or poultry and beef and pork, it's about 1/3 each. But in the United States, poultry outsells beef and pork. egg production's growing rapidly in all the countries, in the United States as well as European Union and China and India. It's changing. There's some major changes coming down the pike in the United States. We see, or what we know is that in California, they are wanting range-free chickens. In poultry production, the hens are kept in cages, and California passed a law that the hens cannot be kept in cages. They've got to be cage-free. And then one of the other niche markets around are range-free chickens. These hens running free. Now, in a commercial operation, we have predators for chickens. They can get diseases from birds, which is one reason why they went into buildings, raised them confined, because of diseases and predators. The avian flu. Yeah, and that hit last year. We saw a big spike in egg production because it hit the layers a lot worse than it did the broilers, and so they had to destroy the chickens in there in those houses because there's not a cure for it. So they tried to contain the spread of it by euthanizing those chickens in the houses. A lot of dead chickens. So anyway, be interesting to see what's going to come about in California, because they're no longer going to. After 2017, I think they're not going to allow the poultry or the laying hens to be in cages. They're going to be out. They can be confined in the building, but they're not going to be in cages. Yeah, and have nesting boxes to go in there and lay their eggs. So the eggs probably, and then we're going to run the chance of them getting contaminated with feces and possible salmonella, or salmonella, being infected with salmonella. Right now, in these cages, there's like a conveyor that runs there near the cages. When the chicken lays an egg, when the hen lays an egg, it just rolls into that conveyor and goes on to the processing unit of the operation, and they're very clean. So it may, things may change. We'll just have to see what happens. But that's kind of an overview with the beef, pork, poultry industries in the world. Do y'all have any questions regarding those? I don't know. I don't buy eggs. I have my own hens at home, so I don't know what the price of eggs are. Okay.
It's quite varied, Dwayne. It's changed. They're up a little on a wholesale basis in the last 3 or 4 weeks. But when I was in Aldi over the weekend, you could still buy a dozen large white eggs for 45 cents.
Okay. I haven't bought eggs in I don't know how long. We have a few hens and we have all the eggs we need.
Wholesale price that I bought yesterday was about $1.05 per dozen. Buying small cases of 15 dozen at a time. Buying 30 dozen, they're about $1 a dozen.
What sells better in your markets, John? The brown eggs or white eggs?
I don't buy brown eggs to sell because they're so high. They're favored by a lot of folks, but not enough to justify putting that in there. you know, you say I'm selling a dozen white eggs for $1.50, I'd have to get 3 for a brown one. And I don't do it because my market doesn't justify it.
I had a chicken that laid green eggs.
Sure you did.
I had some Americanas. One laid green and one kind of laid a bluish color. I can't tell the difference between the flavors, or there's not any difference, or that I can't tell between the brown eggs, the white eggs, the blue eggs, and the green eggs. But
Normally they tell me that the yolk color on a brown egg is darker than it is on a white egg.
maybe it's been a while since I've had white eggs. I don't remember. I do believe this. I believe what they eat makes a big difference in their taste. You know, there's chickens running around the farm that eat bugs and all sorts of stuff. I think those eggs are so strong sometimes I can't stand to eat them. I mean, they're stout. They're rich. I keep mine in a pen. I mean, and I move it around so they do get some, you know, they get vegetation and some bugs. But I do feed them, so they've got more flavor than the store-bought egg, but they're not that rich where I can't eat them. But that's just my preferences.
How long can you keep an egg? The shelf life of a fresh egg?
It depends. I don't know the answer, you know, how long you can actually keep them. Different countries have different deals. You know, in the United States, typically, you know, in a commercial production, those eggs are put down, you know, as soon as they, you know, get on the conveyor belt and into that deal, they're put in a chiller, a room at 40 degrees and stored at 40 degrees. And that increases their shelf life. Europe and Mexico, they don't store them, they don't do cold storage. They just keep them at room temperature. And so their shelf life is not very long.
So, about how old are you think that when a consumer buys them at the grocery store, how old are they?
Will keep without significant quality loss for about 4 to 5 weeks beyond the sale date, or about 3 weeks after you bring them home.
Yeah. Keith, it depends totally on the storage on them. Eggs that we'll get on a reoccurring basis will have at least a month shelf life on the dates that are on them, and like she said, they'll quite often be good for another 3 weeks after your expiration date expires. But it depends on the way you store them. Now, I wouldn't want that on one that wasn't refrigerated.
Right. Now, you can put your egg in the water, and if it floats, they're fresher, right? If it sinks, they're older.
I don't know that.
Because you have an air pocket in there, and the bigger that air pocket, I think it's the fresher the egg, and it will float. But when that air pocket's small and it's gone, it'll sink. That's one way you can test how fresh your eggs are. Huh. That's hard to believe. I couldn't believe that either. All right. Any questions regarding world or global animal production systems?
I have a question.
Okay.
Is it our fault? It's the reason why, you know, like Brazil is starting to become a cattle production country? Like they're starting to produce a lot of cattle. Is that our fault?
Can you say the first part again? I caught about Italy becoming a larger cattle producer. What was the first part?
No, I said Brazil.
Brazil.
You know how? Yes, sir. I was wondering if it was our faults, the reason why, they're starting to produce more cattle and stuff.
Well, yeah, if you want to look at it as a fault type deal. I know when I was at Tech back in the 80s, the United States was going to South America and helping them develop their ag system with crops, cattle production, pork, dairy, the whole 9 yards. And, we're going in there and teaching them how to farm. And, it's, when we think about food and food production of countries, it's kind of we kind of hit on this a little bit. Food production is kind of like it's part of national security for the government, because if they can't provide food for their people, they're going to revolt against the government, right? So the government wants their people to be fed, and it's pretty much the backbone of economies. I mean, agriculture, it's the largest industry in the United States, hands down. Not another industry that touches it. It's the largest industry in the state of Virginia. And you throw in timber with agriculture, there's not even a close industry that comes in second. It's that big. And I think we're doing a lot of people an injustice by, or schools, but not pointing them toward ag. They don't understand the complexities of agriculture and the jobs that are available in the ag industry. And when it's by far the largest industry of the state and in the country. And because of what we have done in Brazil, remember how we were kind of talking about the poverty cycle with the people being poor and malnutrition? That's starting to break in Brazil, because they're they're on the world stage of producing agricultural products now, when they used to not be able to feed themselves. And they're a major player on a global scale. And heck, we've got farmers leaving our country to going down to Brazil to farm because of the regulations here in this country. They're selling out and moving south because of their more ability, more freedom to farm, and they don't have to worry about the EPA and other government agencies putting a damper on their farming operation.
Mr. Farthing, I was just reading an article in the Midwest for the feedlots and the
okay.
cattle
I've got
people.
two people talking. I can't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What you were saying? Hold on. What were you saying, Robert? Okay. All right. What were you saying, Keith?
Oh, let's speak about cattle and feed and corn and stuff. I was just reading that the cattle folks in the Midwest are getting cheaper prices and buying their corn from Brazil than from the Midwest farmers. I just can't understand how that can be cheaper, having something shipped all the way from Brazil, when then go next door to Nebraska and buy the corn directly from the farmers. That didn't make sense to me.
Well, it's a commodity. And, you know, corn is corn. Number 2 gallon corn is number 2 gallon corn. Whether it's grown in the United States, whether it's grown in Argentina, or whether it's grown in Brazil. And it, you know, if it's cheaper, they're going to buy it. I mean, I know when you talk about feedlots, you know, like we're talking about the pork production. A few years ago, grain was pretty high. This company down in North Carolina, Murphy Brown, what's Murphy Hog? It may not be Murphy Brown, maybe an actor. Murphy. They were buying. My neighbor there worked for them, and he was a procurement guy. He bought grain, and he told me, he said he bought 7 shiploads of grain out of Brazil because it's a lot cheaper there than in the United States. And they were shipping it up there to Wilmington and then to their headquarters there at Rose Hill. I guess it just depends on the cost of production and the growing season of those countries at the time. You know, and that will play on the world market for the price of corn in the United States. You know, right now we're just starting to harvest corn.
Also, it's talking about
last year. What's that, Keith?
And also, the article talked about possible increases in our alfalfa and hay costs because we are shipping more alfalfa and hay to all places, Saudi Arabia and also China.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, what these countries buy affects their prices here. It is a world market, you know. If Argentina has a bad growing season or Brazil has a bad growing season, then the U.S. farmers are going to get a higher price for their product because there's going to be less product on the world stage. That supply and demand type situation. That makes sense?
I guess I just know it's not cheap to ship things, and I just would think that something next door would be cheaper than something thousands of miles away.
You would think, like with corn right now. John, help me out here. Does Brazil have the same growing season as Argentina?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're south of the equator. You know, they're on a different growing season than us. Right now, we're just now getting ready to, you know, some of these guys are just starting to pick their corn. And so what corn has been bought this summer has been stored if it's from the United States. Or left over from back last fall when they picked it, unless they brought it up from Brazil or Argentina. But they're just now getting ready to start planting because our winter time's going to be their summertime. So, it's a world deal. And I don't know. I just know it was cheaper. Sometimes it's cheaper to buy it and ship it up than buy it here locally.
There's still corn available in our community from last year.
Okay. We don't raise much corn around here that doesn't go into silage, so most of the farmers chop it off for silage. There's some that grow it and pick it, but it mainly just goes back to their animals. We just don't have the size of fields to justify a combine or a big combine. There's a few around, but not, it takes a pretty big field to justify $1 million machine. It takes a lot. And we just don't have a lot of those here in southwestern Virginia. So we were talking about, I made comment about how big agriculture is. What kind of jobs are available out there in animal agriculture?
Breeding.
Okay, when you say breeding, are you talking like genetics? Or
Yeah.
you talking like a representative for a company like Select Sires that goes around and breed cows for people?
Well, genetics.
Okay, genetics, and that's a growing industry. Because we've mapped out the genome of livestock, and we've got markers for certain traits. We can look at a cow's blood sample, grab their DNA from that, and see whether or not they're going to marble. Do they carry that gene for meat tenderness? That's a big deal right now. It's a growing industry, animal genetics. What other jobs are available?
Agricultural sales.
Agriculture what?
Sales.
Sales?
Marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got feed sales, you got pharmaceutical sales, you got people that sell cattle or livestock. You got people that sell meat to the grocery stores. All sorts of sales from on either end of the spectrum, in the selling to the producers or selling to the finished product, anywhere in between. What else? What other careers are there out there in animal agriculture? Feed supply. That's a big industry. You have nutritionists. You have people that run feed mills. You have people that, the truckers that haul the feed. You have specialists that go to the farms and work with those farmers to come up with a nutrition package for what those cows need, or sheep, or goats, or pigs. The consultants for dairies. Nutrition's big. Feed sales are big. What else? Okay. Explain to everybody what a test station is, if they don't know. Okay. So, what he's referring to is a bull test station. And, if you're a producer trying to raise bulls to sell, you can put your bulls on this, send them to these test stations, and they're all fed the same diet. So they're going to compare their growth rates. They're going to check out their ability to breed, with semen quality and the amount of sperm they produce. They're going to look very heavily on conformation. They're going to go back into the genetics with expected what's their progeny expected to do with growth, carcass traits. What other jobs are out there? How about a manager for a farm or a dairy herd? Whether it's beef or pork, poultry, dairy.
An animal welfare specialist.
Okay, animal welfare specialist. How important is that now in today's society? It's a lot, isn't it? We need somebody to tell our story, that we do take care of our animals. It's 0 degrees out there in the wintertime, and what are you doing out there with your animals? You're out there breaking ice, aren't you? You're out there delivering, taking them feed. And if it's calving time or lambing time, you're out there around the clock watching them. Farmers are great animal welfare people, but we don't tell our story. And so people think we don't do it. Or people take clips of farmers out there and they don't understand what's going on. We have a cow down and we're trying to get it up, and we lift it up with the bucket of the tractor to try to save that cow's life. They think we're being abused of that animal. But if we don't get that animal to stand up, she's going to die. So yeah, sometimes farmers have to do stuff that cause pain to the animals, but you got to remember we're trying to save their lives. Just like a doctor. You go to the doctor, they're going to do stuff that hurts to you, right? But they're going to try to save your life. Not any difference. Some things these doctors do to us hurts. But they're trying to make us better. And then on the other end of the spectrum, when these animals go to slaughter, it needs to be done with dignity. Doesn't need to be cruel, it needs to be quick. And we have perfected that. Very painless. And yeah, it's over. They don't know what's going on. It's very, very humane, very dignified for those animals that give their lives to us for us to eat. So it is, they're needed. Hempel Grandin is probably the most well-known of animal welfare specialists. He has revolutionized the way we work cattle and livestock and the way they're slaughtered. You need to watch some of her stuff on YouTube. It's some interesting little tidbits out there about her. Okay, what else do we have? What other careers are there in animal production? Okay, yeah, we mentioned that. Working for a company to go around breeding cows, like Select Sires or Gen X or ABS, whether it's for dairy or beef. What about veterinarian? Should that be a career? For research? Slaughter, working at a slaughter plant? Or having your own slaughter plant? How about a stable manager on a horse farm? Would that be a career in animal production? Or dog kennel?
SPCA.
Yeah, that's a career in animals. potential career for you. My wife is involved in the dog rescue deal. She doesn't get paid for it, just hobby. You know, there are people that do get paid in that stuff, and animal control officers and stuff. How about inspectors for the government, food safety inspectors, livestock? You know, before livestock can be slaughtered, they have to be inspected to make sure they're healthy. Then there's inspectors there on the kill floor to make sure everything's done right, and check out the meat, make sure, you know, check out the liver and the heart and lungs, make sure it's not diseased. Pull samples and make sure there's not any antibiotics in there. Our food industry is highly regulated. Lots of inspectors.
How about ag educators?
You bet. We need educators for the next generation of farmers, or for the next generation of ag workers, or researchers, you know, to continue whatever we need educators to keep agriculture going, bring in the new generation, whether they're going to be engineers, bankers, lawyers, researchers, vets, whatever. We need educators. How about working with national organizations like the Beef Board, or the National Cattlemen's Association, or breed associations? Advertising, marketing, or journalists, you know, for magazines, ag magazines, trade magazines, breed magazines. What? Well, that's going to be in production agriculture, whether you're an owner or a manager of managing cattle. Okay. And what do we do with these byproducts? Okay. They go into different, on that lab, what were some of the things y'all came up with, the byproducts for cattle? Gummy bears. What else? What were some of the byproducts from livestock? Glue, paintbrushes,
Gelatin.
industrial lubricants.
Try to
What
give
else
Megan
y'all
hit.
come up with?
Gelatin.
Gelatin. What else did you come up with?
Gum.
Gum. Okay.
Toothpaste.
Toothpaste. Makeup. What about pharmaceuticals? Yeah. So these products, these animals, it's just not the meat we get from them. We use everything but the squeal, as the old saying goes. They're used in quite a few things. So a lot of research is ongoing about how else we can use more product with byproducts. What else? What other careers are out there in animal agriculture? Somebody's got to move them. Trucker, mechanic. Ag engineer. Design housing, design better trucks for hauling, the cargo area, bull hauling. I mean, these things just weren't made by accident. There's been a lot of thought and engineering to go into those cattle trains, horse trains. Feedlots, where we finished off cows. Hog house. A lot of engineering goes into those poultry hog houses, cattle feedlots, dairy farms. Airflow is important. Animal comfort is important. If our animals aren't proper, they're not comfortable, they're not cared for properly, are they going to produce for us? Exactly. They're going to get sick. If our animals aren't happy, they're not going to produce. We've got to keep our animals happy. We've got to keep them healthy. If they're not happy, they're not going to be healthy. We're not going to make money as producers. I mentioned banking would be a job. Lawyers, are they important in the animal in agriculture? Yeah. A lot of times, a lot of farmers only get paid once a year, so we're going to have to go to a banker, figure out how we're going to operate throughout, have some cash flow throughout the rest of the year. Lawyers, buying land, selling land. Your neighbors don't like your farming, whatever it may be. Insurance. All sorts of jobs out there, and that people don't realize they're out there. Most people think this is production, but you've got to do research. And the salesman to the producer, and then what happens to the product after it leaves the farm, for the processing and getting to the consumer. There's a plethora of jobs out there. So look over those PowerPoints in Chapter 4 about different jobs, from private industries to government, to the meat industry. All sorts of jobs out there listed, different careers. So I'm not going to go over a lot on Chapter 4 with the careers in agriculture and animal science. We've gone over several. Get the point. Jobs are out there. They're going to be out there. There's going to be an increased demand for these jobs as the population grows. We have to increase our. So how much are we going to have to increase food production by the year 2050? A lot. How much is a lot? Going to have to double. Okay. What's the population? What's it expected to be by the year 2050? 10 billion. Okay. Right now we're at 7, a little bit over 7. So we're going to have to double our production. So ag is growing. There's the need for agriculture-related jobs are growing. It's great for people to fill those jobs. So now, and even we've got 2 culinary students in here. That's good because that's needed as well. Yeah. I don't like to eat my own cooking all the time. I know my wife doesn't like to eat all the time. So sometimes I get tired of my wife's cooking as well. So it's nice to go out and have somebody else cook for me. So Anyway, that's related to agriculture. Any questions about careers in agriculture? Look over chapter 4. We will have some test questions from chapter 4 about careers in animal agriculture. Kind of went over it because I needed to, but look at it. Don't want to bore you guys.
Speaking of tests, are we having a test this Thursday?
What's that?
I said, speaking of tests, our syllabus says we're having a test on Thursday. Is that still on?
No, it's not. Keith, let's postpone, and that's a good question. Let's postpone that a little bit. And the reason being is I just like to try to get through this first section. I'm glad you brought that up. I like to get through these. Got a few more chapters I'd like to go over, and then just have an exam on this first section.
You have no complaint from me.
Anybody else have any complaints on that? Anybody want to test Thursday?
I said you don't have a complaint from me.
Okay. Everybody in accordance with Keith, or do y'all want an exam on Thursday?
Nope.
All right. So we've got 2 more chapters to hit, and that should finish up this first section about global, agriculture, world agriculture. Chapter 5 is on horses. Chapter 6, I think, is on companion animals. So let's put this off for about a week. Try to get through these next couple chapters, and then we'll hit livestock production with chapter 7 and 8, 7 through 12. Usually I'm done with this, but we've had some issues with their setup, our hookups, and it's taken a little bit longer to get through here. I'd like to try to cover a chapter a day, but it hasn't really been well. As I said, that's just kind of what we try, or what I try.
It's what we normally do.
So any questions on chapters 3 or 4? All right, we'll move on to chapter 5. Now, in Blackboard, guys, let me put this up here for you guys. Hold on, bear with me a second. Under the folder for chapters 5 and 6, you see this other word here, vocabulary. You do have a vocabulary list you will need to be familiar with. And these are going to be terms that we're going to use throughout the semester. And you will need to know them. It's like we kind of have our own language, or terminology in animal agriculture. Some of them you already know. Some of them's going to be new. It depends on your past experience with agriculture. This will help you with your studying for the exam as well. So you probably need to look up these terms. And we will add to these as the semester goes on. Any questions regarding that? All right. If not, we will move on. Chapter 5 talks about horses. What's the difference between a horse and a pony? Anybody know? Size. You're right. And what's the official size of a horse, or the official size of a pony? What's that break-off point of it being between a horse and a pony?
14.2.
Yeah, 14.2. 14.2 hands. At the shoulder, or the withers. In livestock, it's called the withers. So, that's going to be about 58 inches. A hand is how many inches, guys? 4 inches wide, on generally. So, if it's taller than 14.2 hands at the shoulders, it's considered a horse. If it's smaller, it's considered a pony. Now, there's always a caveat whenever you have a steadfast rule. There's some breeds, like Welsh ponies. Doesn't matter how big they are, they're still considered a pony because of it's just the breed they are. And then you have the miniature horses. They're very small. I think they're below 34 inches at the shoulder. Them to be considered a miniature horse. And I will tell you from personal experience, do not call a miniature horse a pony. Those people that have miniature horses get very insulted if you call their mini pony. I don't know why, but I learned that one time, and I haven't made that mistake again. Anyway, horses have been around for quite a while. They've increased in size. They're about the size of a medium-sized dog at the beginning of evolution, and increased to greater heights and greater size, and been selected for genetically to where we're at today. They were hunted for food originally. They were domesticated about 6,000 years ago. So they've been domesticated for a while. The first domesticated horses, what do you think they were used for?
Work. Maybe. Or travel.
Food and transportation. Okay? I know in the United States, we don't think about eating horse meat. But at least nowadays, we don't really think about it. It was a staple of the diet, pioneered in the early 70s. Native Americans. Horse meat has been eaten for quite a long time. It's still eaten in Europe, Asia. Mexico, it is, they do eat horse. And so they were domesticated, mainly used for food, transportation. They used meat, they used milk, blood. And the thing with horses, transportation animals, right, get quicker, right? Use them to pull a wagon, hard, carry. Horses revolutionized war. Pain, they're given credit for spreading the language, spreading the Indo-European language. Started plowing with horses back about 800 AD. He was using horses to pull chariots about 2000. Been a pretty long time with horses. When were they brought to the United States? Anybody have an idea? Or did they American?
1493.
Yeah, 1493. Shortly after, about a year after Columbus. Right. And feral horses, they're Mustangs. They're feral horses, and they've spread throughout the American continent. So we are about out of time, and we will pick up with horses. Well, they were ferals as well. They were once domesticated. Well, there's some in Mount Rogers area and Virginia Grayson National Park. They're on the Mount Rogers area. There's some out there on the Kinkatee and Pasadena Island.
There's sacrifice. Cool.
Yeah, they do that on Mount Rogers in the fall. They in the island off Virginia, Maryland, Colorado. Yeah, they do. So, anybody have any questions over anything we went over today? We'll try to finish up chapter 5 tomorrow, or Thursday, and chapter 6, and try to have this exam the week from Thursday. Y'all are not very talkative today. What's going on? I haven't heard a word out of South Boston. I've heard we had a couple questions from South Side and Keysville. And it's been like I've been trying to pull teeth to get you guys to participate. Has it been that boring? What? Still pulling teeth?
So one to the 22nd. He thinks it'll be moved to the 22nd.
All right, I can't hear over y'all talking. What was that?
The exam around the 22nd.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll shoot for next Thursday. So, guys, we'll see you Thursday.
See you, Dwayne.
See you.
Just turn.
Okay.
A lot of this definitions are easy.
Okay. Okay.
You would. Yeah.
Okay.
That is a mechanism.
Okay. Make sure you keep staying.
I heard.
Any of it.
How old are you?
Do we have a lab on Friday? Do we have a lab on Friday?
Lab on Friday? I don't know. I'll let you know on Thursday. Because I got several balls in the air and I don't have one firmed up right now. We may not.
Okay.
Okay? We've got to figure out what we're going to do. And two of my plans are falling through. There you go.
I think I want.
I'll pick them up and bring them.
I think I want.
So, there's a cookie here, animals out on the shop, but I can't. Are you gonna take it?
No, I got all I can take. We got one rescue.
It's really hard to pay attention to him. 'Cause it is boring.
Why not?
There you go. You can go. I think like this. I hate using. I don't have anything with GoPro. I can get a paper towel to bathroom. So I can wipe it off.
Well, I tell you what, though. I had such good success with the cedars. I don't think.
That's just what it is. We'll work on it. Thank you. Thank you.
Is what? Kmart? Uh-huh. Turn red. Well, that's, yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people use those in conjunction. Really? I like South Downs.
Which one was yours?
I agree with you.
No, but I'm a work center, so yeah. So glad you had it.
Really?
I did have a classroom in there, but they moved it to like a computer lab, so.
Actually, I had two classes, and I had basic law, but they moved it to law.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had business classes, and they moved it over to sound. All right.
It's expensive. I do, but I'm hoping I can get mine cut and square belted. Alright. Huh? Alright. I'm gonna have to do something else. Square belted. I put a lot of money in my hay field and my hay equipment. I don't want to buy hay anymore. But, you know, otherwise I would have just bought hay. I just got mad at my supplier and said, heck with it. It is. And I always bought hay for years, but square bells are so hard to come by, and I got really upset with my suppliers. Pride got in the way. Pride. My pride cost me. Pride. It's expensive. All right. You get a blackboard right. Yeah, but I haven't got your introduction. Oh, you're, and I need your lab, Robert. You're late. Give me that working on it. Y'all got her lab right up from last week too. Got that right. Just write about a page of what you did in lab. Well, I'm telling you now. All right. A little more. All right. Come up here. Blackboard. First.